Hi, hello everybody, good morning. I'd like to continue my message, and actually, this is now the part 3 of my message entitled How to Have a Healthy Soul. You still remember the part 1? I discussed to you what soul is and what's the importance of soul. And then the part 2, I started discussing how to make our soul healthy, and I had 2 points there that I discussed. Okay, but this time I'd like to continue the third point and the fourth point. You know, one of the sad things that I observe as a church leader or as a pastor, many Christians are not changing deeply. So in other words, they're not growing spiritually. Their relationship with God is not going deeper. There's like a recycle of some old or same old problems over and over again. Ah, and you know, some of them have been a Christian. They had been a Christian for 20 years and some 30 years. But you know, if you observe how they think, how they feel, and how they act, especially on pressures like that, conflicts, stress, you know, they act and they feel and they think like a baby, or they are like immature Christians, like 5 years old Christians. And I know that something is wrong. Some of them maybe are not aware. Some of them are aware, but they don't care. Some of them do not really have find time to nurture their souls. Okay, that's why I'd like to continue. First of all, I'd like to refresh our points to you. Okay, number one, how to make our soul healthy. Take a personal responsibility for your soul. So in other words, we are the one responsible for our souls to make it healthy. Number two, okay, we need to identify, and after identifying, we need to avoid the toxins that can damage or that can poison our soul. Okay? Now, let's go to number three. Number three is we need to create a space, or in other words, a time to nourish your soul. Okay? Now, you still remember my message before when I talk about how to live a simple life? I discussed to you that we need to give ourselves a break. Because this is good for our body, but it is not only good for our body, it is good for our soul. Huh? In other words, learn to slow down, because 21st century is known to be a fast-paced society. Okay? That busyness became a status. That if you are a busy person, you are somebody. Busy people are important people. But I warned you before, I said, nukulipagpag ka nga kulipagpag, nalaklaka ka nga maspak. If your schedule is always overwhelmed, okay, there is a tendency that your soul will become weak and undernourished. You remember Jesus Christ, Mark chapter 1. Jesus Christ, when he was in Capernaum, he was scheduled to teach in a synagogue. But while he was teaching, he was confronted by a demon-possessed person. Okay? And right after that, they went to Peter's house. Okay, supposed to be to rest. But when they were there, only to find out that the mother-in-law of Peter was sick. Okay, so he healed the mother-in-law of Peter. And then after that, the people heard that Jesus was there. That's why what they did was they brought the many sick people and even demon-possessed people. That day, he healed many sick, and he cast out many demons. It was a very intense day. You know, in verse 35, Mark chapter 1, says here, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up and left the house and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Okay, if we notice here, Jesus was very, very busy during that time. He was a very busy person, but he always intentionally create a space for him and for the Father. Okay? So in other words, if Jesus did that, we need to do that also. The reason why it is very hard for us now to discern the voice of God and to know His will in our life, we no longer have any space for Him. We are always fatigued, we are always exhausted because we are always busy and do not have time for God. That's why, we need to learn the art of rhythm. Remember Ecclesiastes, there is time for everything. That's why I advise you, my dear brothers and sisters, we need to have a time for work, okay? But we need to have a time to rest, a time to produce, a time to restore, a time to feed our body, but a time to feed our soul, a time to play, and a time to pray. Number 4, we need to make ways in order to develop an intimate relationship with God intentionally. Yeah, our highest calling is not our ministry. It is not even our family. Our highest calling, my dear brothers and sisters, is to love God with all our hearts, with all our soul, with all our mind, with all our strength. The question, what are we doing every day in order to make our relationship with Him, or in order to make us constantly in love with God? The greatest temptation for me as a pastor, even others, okay? Especially, being a pastor is to replace my being with God to my work for God. Because we thought that if we are busy for God, we are busy in the ministry, we are intimate with Him automatically. No. There are many Christians today busy working for the ministry, but their hearts are far away from God. In John chapter 15 verse 5, it says here, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear more fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Our ministries, our services for the church are important. Maybe they can help to strengthen our faith and stir our love for Him, but not all the time. It's not automatic. Remember the church at Ephesus, one of the 7 churches of Asia mentioned in the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 2 verse 2, it says here, I know your deeds. I know your hard work. You have persevered and have endured hardship for my name and have not grown weary. So in other words, this church is a busy church for the ministry. But it says here in verse 4, yes, I hold this against you. You have forsaken your first love. They are busy, but they are not in love with God. They should not be, or ministries, or Christian activities, good works should not be a substitute, okay, in developing our intimate relationship with Him. Okay? We need to develop first our intimate relationship with God, and all things will follow. I remember one of the elders of the church. He was very active and faithful to the ministry. During his birthday, everybody wished more years for him and to have a more fruitful ministry. He responded, and his response was like this. He said, brothers and sisters, what I love to serve, he said. I love to serve, but my longing, the longing of my heart is the day when God calls me home. Sabi niya, because that is the only way for me to be with my wife forever and ever in heaven, because I miss her very much. You know, our soul's number one desire should be to be in the presence of God. Actually, there will come a time that we depart from this world and spend our eternity in heaven. Okay? But what is exciting, my dear brothers and sisters, what is exciting about that is that it's not just because of the beauty of heaven that we want to go there, okay? But because in heaven, the one who loved us so much and the one we love so much, okay, is there. God is there, and we will be spending our eternity with Him forever and ever. That's why, my dear brothers and sisters, while we are still living here on earth, okay, make our soul healthy. But this is not the end of my message. This is the end of the series, but this is not the end of the general message. Okay? My next topic, I will be discussing a more serious and more important topic, and that is about the spirit, how to have a healthy spirit. Okay? So bye-bye. God bless everybody.